Now let's move on to the number one top of the pyramid lefty favorite, and that would be the unaliving that starts with M and rhymes with girder. One of the top first one here. So if the police have an interaction with somebody where if they're part of the right group and it can be characterized the way they want to politically, it becomes murder immediately, even though it's just a cop doing their job, dealing with a difficult criminal who fails to follow orders or decides to pull out a gun and point it at them. Shit. They mischaracterize and they call racism always the race card, right? They might as well just stamp race card on their forehead the way these people operate. Then let's move on to the next one. There's a recent one, a Honduran illegal immigrant who had been kicked out of the country multiple times, just killed an 11-year-old kid on his way home from school. What do the Democrats have to say about that? Pass. That's not an issue we're concerned with. Then let's go back to Obama's paradise, right? Gangster's paradise in Chicago. It's a weekend by weekend occurrence now where there's 100 shootings and over 10 people dying. It's like every week now. Do they care? No, pass. Don't care.
All right, everybody, it's time to close your mouths and open your mind and enter Philly's black market. Yesterday, there was a legendary night here in America. And I can't even say it seriously.
No, you can't.
Oh, I can't even say it.
You tried to keep a straight face. You couldn't do it.
It's your fault, because I was doing good, and then I looked at you, and you had this shitty good on.
I just looked up. I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, man. Well, we'll just go. The night still was legendary, and we got to watch the very first debate of Harris versus Trump, maybe the last one too. Just like the debate last night, this podcast is off to an amazing start. The first thing I noticed yesterday, I don't know if you caught this, not many people do. The host says to Kamala, "You and President Trump got elected 4 years ago."
Oh, he actually misspoke that badly.
He actually fucked that up. And I'm not like, okay, I have misspoken on this podcast thousands of times.
Sure.
The difference is when you're on that level and on that stage, I expect you to be like not only one of just the best at reporting on news and topics, but I expect you had done your homework and you have repeated that intro a million fucking times before you go on it, but you still shit the bed on it. That's why I'm giving you some criticism on for that stage.
I highly doubt that guy ever did any homework. Ever.
Well, you know who seemed like they did do their homework?
Who?
Kamala Harris.
Really? What was the subject of study? Repeating lies and being a chameleon liar? I mean, she's terrible.
Well, I think her past experience just being an attorney seemed to help out. A lot of people feel like she won the debate, and they're saying that Trump's team is saying, oh, Kamala had an earpiece on, like in her. They're giving her the answers. She had, what else did I see? Oh, that they gave her the questions beforehand and all this shit.
Well, she got the questions beforehand.
See, I feel like they should just do that anyway to both parties. Why not?
See, what I think that the moderators should only generate basically one word or short phrase labels for the topics and then let them go at it. Immigration.
Yeah.
Tax policy. Economy.
Yep.
Foreign policy. Straightforward, just like blanket, anything goes. Tell us something that will actually be useful. Kamala didn't do that once last night. She didn't answer a single question.
Okay, but let's get into some of the big questions here that they were asking. But real quick before we start, in your opinion, who won the debate?
Trump won the debate. So? He's the only one who actually talks to people and actually tells them things that are real.
He was saying some crazy shit, though.
None of it was crazy.
He was saying some
Not
crazy
one
shit.
bit of it was crazy. The only reason anybody would think it's crazy is because they're locked in a media box that they never bother opening the window to look outside. I mean, honestly, if you think that she was alerting you to things that Trump was lying about, you can't be helped. You can't, because that's all she does is lie. It's absolutely incredible. So what were the things that you wanted to hit on right away? You gave me a couple.
Yeah, there's a few things I wanted to talk about, actually. One thing that I wanted to run by and see what your opinion is on this. I feel like it would be really good for all debates going forward. And it would, I know, really help people like me. 90% of people watching this don't do their homework.
No.
And they don't actually. So when one of the speakers or like one of the or Trump or Kamala, whoever the fuck it is, says, a random statistic about something or random fact, 90% of people at home don't know if it's actually true or not.
No, they have no idea.
What I would like to see, and I'm including me, I'm part of that bunch. I would like to see, I don't know if you get a fact checker in there or just like have an additional person that just has all the statistics from the questions that they're asking them so they can call people out on their bullshit, or they can just say, hey, this is the truth. Anytime Kamala, when it's ever about economy or the migrants,
you can't trust a single thing she says.
Each says, but she says he lies, he says she lies. So it's like, okay, so you're someone like me who doesn't really pay attention to politics or watch the news at all, and there's probably millions of people that they're watching it last night. So it's like, well, how can you believe either of them? How do you know what's true?
Well, let's present just one single point of contrast between the two. Okay. You don't need to pass legislation to have stricter enforcement at the border. You do need to pass a bill to accumulate the money necessary to actually build a structure like the wall. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump's presidency, he tried to drum up the money necessary in order to build the thing and had people stand against him. He had a policy on it and he had reasons for it, and people supported it. As soon as Biden and Harris get into office, the doors are thrown wide open, and then they keep going. Yeah, the border's secure, but how can that be? I mean, there are news reporters on the border watching the people swim across the river and walk into the country. I mean, how can that be? If there are all of these enclaves forming all over the country of non-English speaking, unskilled, on the average, more violent than basically anywhere except Democrat inner cities, how could anybody possibly believe her? They didn't do a single thing for this entire term to reduce the effects of what's happening down there. You got one guy who tried and had both parties stand against him versus someone who has the existing capacity to make executive orders at any point in time to be stricter at the border. And they just don't do it. And now we have to turn the page to what?
Yeah, she said that line a lot.
The new page is a photocopy of the old page, and your dumb face is on both of them. You mean turn the page? If we turn the page, you wouldn't be here. Not to mention the fact that nobody voted for you to be the nominee. So how are you even the nominee? That's how insane this is.
Wait, so when Biden decided to step down, do people normally have to vote for the next person to take a spot?
That's why this was so ridiculous. This has never happened.
No, I'm saying, okay, this is the first time, huh?
No, well, if you go back to 1968, when the Democrats started to open up their process to having statewide primaries, they still hung on to the gangster methodology of just whoever the boss is just names people, right? But they did actually have some primaries take place, and they had two people, neither one of which ended up being the nominee. They ended up just making Hubert Humphrey the nominee, and that's why Nixon landslided him. It's so insane. I mean, honestly, like the only nominees I can think of after that, Carter figured out the new plan in 1976. He was a genuine nominee. Then he got his ass ran out of town for being absolutely terrible and failing at every turn, and so he got wiped out by Reagan. And at the height This was the high point of the Democrats opening up their process to the people that they always claim to be supporting and doing all this hard work for.
They're about the middle class.
Mondale gets rolled 49-1 as far as states in the Electoral College. And then after that, then they went right back to the old methods. They tried to do this weird propaganda media tour with Dukakis, and he blew up his entire deal by trying to ride around in a tank after being an anti-military Democrat his entire life. Now, that dude was an idiot. And then in 92, after Daddy Bush just basically pushed Dukakis off to the side, then you get Bush. The beginning of the Bush-Clinton dynasty.
Speaking of Daddy Bush, she says she's got his support.
Yeah, great.
Didn't she?
Yeah. All of the people. This is.
Remember when she was naming off all the Republicans who supported her now?
This might be the single most ridiculous part of this entire story up to now. Dick Cheney, Darth Vader of the Republicans, that the Democrats basically swore up and down they would publicly execute the guy if they got the chance. Now they want his endorsement. Talk about a flip-flop.
Yeah.
And weird. When Bush wanted to... It's so crazy because there's never any consistency from these people.
No,
they
from either party. That's what I was saying at the beginning. They both say each other's lying. They throw their own statistic out. How can you get the truth out of anyone? So one of the things that Kamala brought up, very briefly, it wasn't even a question. She just she mentioned it as part of a bigger question, but it's something that you and I love to talk about. We were talking about for a very long time on here, and we're talking about more AI. I don't know if you caught it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all she said is it was about the technological competition that the U.S. is in.
Yeah,
and she specifically said we need to win the race of AI and competition against China and all these other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder, what does the government got cooking up for AI? Like, they give Chat GPT to the public. What do they have that we don't know about?
Oh, all sorts of stuff that they keep under wraps. So that's not important. Anybody with a freaking brain knows that the control structure withholds the best stuff. They always do. There's always like
the best graphics cards.
There's always like a multi-decade schedule of releasing the stuff they've been sitting on for 50 years. It's so sick. But on that whole AI competition with China and the tariffs, that all works together. It's more likely that Kamala wants to she wants to engage in the state controlling the development of AI so they can give it to China. I mean, that's what the Clintons did.
Yeah.
They gave away all sorts of secrets to China while they were leveraging policy in the United States to force manufacturers to move to China. So who's responsible for this whole deal with China now? It's all Democrats. They're the ones that create these ridiculous policies. And then their leaders actually give the Chinese stuff that nobody with a brain wants them to have because they don't care about the country, and they sure as hell don't care about you or me or anybody watching this. Because if any of them did...
Kamala assured everyone that they are for us, Phil, the middle class. That's you and me. Yep. We work our ass off. I would like to only work one job one day. So would you. When's the last time you only worked one job?
Well, when I was at Williams, that was pretty much... I wasn't really doing anything else.
Yeah.
On this particular point, all right, we're trying to keep it simple.
Yep.
Right? We want to keep this straightforward.
Yes.
Tariffs do not increase general prices. I mean, she's an absolute ding dong. She doesn't know anything. The whole point of assessing tariffs, at least from the neoclassical, bullshit realm of the government is economic and economy is just money, all totally fallacious. If you've got a product produced in America and you've got an import and the import gets an extra tax added onto it, regardless of whether or not that price is now higher or the domestic price is higher, do you know what that does? it gives individuals the opportunity to make a choice. Do I want to buy the domestic product without the tax, or do I want to pay the tax for the import? So
Just let them choose.
I mean, either she's dumb or she's lying. Those are the only two choices, because what she said is just factually not correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe that she actually tried to do that. And as far as inflation goes, she just, I mean, if you have a rate and, you know, going higher or lower is good or bad, she's just always going to lie to you about it being good now. Does anybody believe that inflation is the lowest it's been right now?
Well,
How asinine is that?
I don't think either of them said anything that they did was bad. How about taking a little bit of fucking accountability?
So the Dems are incapable of it.
This up.
They can't do it. They have the opportunity to take accountability for stretching out the COVID to infinity and keeping the schools closed and killing all the old people in the nursing homes by shipping sick people to them. That's the whole veil of the COVID BS. Trump wanted to get the vaccine going so he could be seen as the hero, and he made the correct step of limiting international travel coming from the outside coming into the country. Those are the two things you do. What did the Dems do? They created all of these weird, at the behest of Fauci, and then holding him up on a pedestal, ivory tower, pointy hat. You know, I mean, these people, they're just disgusting. They basically recruited amongst themselves an army of liberal Democrat bureaucrats and position holders to create all of these ridiculous policies inside of states that were directed at some companies and not others. So right off the bat, we're picking and choosing who gets punished. And then, like your buddy Tim Walz, Timmy Tampon, Tip Line Timmy, creates a hotline amidst all of the chaos, watching a city burn down in his own state, to tattletale on people going to church without masks on, small business owners not shutting their doors for months and months and months, just trying to keep their lives going, keeping the schools closed as long as they possibly could, giving in to the BS leveraging of the teachers' unions, almost entirely, all of the negative effects accumulated under COVID were implemented by the state leadership of liberal states. And then what did they do? Then they recruited the media to attack the governor of Texas, the governor of Florida, and anywhere else they didn't want to go along with the lock down the school, lock down your business, unless you're a giant Dem donor and you run a Target or a Walmart. No, then we pile all the sick people in with their useless masks into one giant place to rub up against each other and get each other all sick. Meanwhile, children, basically not affected, they can't go to school. The whole thing was so insane. That's all there is to. I mean, I don't even know what else to say.
I will say Trump doesn't get enough credit for being the only president that had to go through a pandemic like that. I don't think there is making the right decision. Like I'm talking about, like, go put yourself back in time though. 2020, like, it's hindsight is 2020. You know, so bring yourself back then. Like, no one knew what to fucking do. I wouldn't have known what to do in that position. Like, 99% of the population wouldn't have.
Well, I could tell you one thing, that if Hillary had been in office at the time that whole thing kicked off, there wouldn't have been any international travel delays. That would have just stayed wide open. We probably would have had a 250,000 Chinese just swim up onto California's shore and start spitting on people.
Oh, Trump made sure to bring up how many migrants Kamala has let in, calls them criminals and whatnot.
Oh, it's millions and millions. And she's millions, such a liar.
Billions.
She's such a liar. Yeah, we need to elect you president to take care of the border after you completely ignored it the entire time and then tried to tell us all that you didn't actually, you weren't given the job, even though all of your media cronies all piled on at the beginning of the term to try and prop you up like you were competent.
This was one of those topics that came up. Well, I would actually like to have the fact checker there, like, of of crimes committed, how many of them are done by illegals?
I don't care if you let in 50 million immigrants and there's only one murder. That's how these people approach everything. If you know what? I'm gonna be a public school teacher for 30 years and then retire on 90% of my 5 highest years as a pension, even though I do nothing. I'm just gonna keep getting paid for the rest of my life. If only one child learns how to read. Yeah, that's worth 30 years of salary and then a lifetime pension at 90% of the average of your 5 highest years' pay. That's how disgusting those people are. Oh, the other, 20,000 kids that went through your classrooms, who gives a shit? They didn't learn how to read.
But what are the other 10 million? Okay, you let 12 million in, one of them commits a murder. So what are the other, 11 plus million doing? Are they working jobs people don't want to? Are they just there trying to make a buck? Dude, you and I worked with a lot of these guys probably in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
They're good guys. They're honest, hardworking dudes,
Yeah. Yeah, but the fact that they get here and they work a job doesn't mean that they didn't violate the law, and it doesn't mean that they should get to stay here. It just doesn't.
Is it doing any harm though?
Yes.
By keeping them here, and what harm is that?
Oh, we're constantly being told how we have to keep generating all of these ridiculous freaking government programs that take care of all the dum-dums and the poor people and the lazy assholes and just in general. Liberal mouthpieces who fill positions and accomplish nothing. They're a complete drain on everything. Why in the world would you increase that share of the population when all you do is campaign to everybody about how we need to fix it? So let's increase the problem and then blame the other side for being racist. I mean, it's so sick. She's just a liar. Yeah, the border's secure. Listen, I don't know how many different pinheads out of that administration have repeated that. The border's secure. It's the most secure it's ever been. And yet it's a rate of illegal immigration that I don't think a single border on the planet has ever experienced in history.
Well, let's get into the next one here. What so
God, so gross.
The next topic that I've been seeing all over the internet in the shorts is what is the state where Trump's claiming they're eating animals?
It's Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
They're eating cats and dogs.
Yeah, there's plenty of clips of Kamala out there claiming all of this credit for being.
That's some crazy shit for Trump to go on.
Well, you want to know what's crazy?
That's some crazy shit.
You want to know what's crazy? Is looking at basically a fourth world island nation where in excess of 30% of the population actually follow a satanic related religious practice like
in Springfield?
Voodoo. No, this is in Haiti.
In Haiti.
Okay. So the population that you're drawing from.
Okay. So you're extracting people from Haiti and you're putting them in Springfield, Ohio.
All over the country.
Okay.
But that's one particular instance.
Does that have like a higher percentage of them though? Kind of like how we got a lot of Somalians. They have a high percentage of people from Haiti.
If your town has less than 100,000 people in it, and the government just basically sets up a receiving station for 20,000 of these Haitians, that's more than a 20% increase of your population, composed of uneducated, mostly probably non-English speaking, great chance 1 in 3 of being a Satanist.
This is first generation, though. First wave of people.
Who cares? Yeah. That's the one you keep out. Then you don't have generation 2 and 3.
They're investing in the future.
The government can't invest. It's not a thing. I could get deeper into it, but
no. Let's go. Keep going on. I'm interested to hear about these satanic worshipers of Haiti.
You just survey the people. It's a 30+% response rate that they believe in Satan.
Well, don't you believe in Satan?
Well,
you believe in God.
No, see. He's elevated as an object of worship.
Okay.
Satan is their God. Yeah. Those people, they set up this weird binary between God the creator and Satan, and they call God the bad guy for giving us rules to follow. And Satan's the one that liberates us all by telling us to be degenerate pieces of garbage. So that's their idea of freedom, is degeneracy, crime. That's their idea of freedom.
So people are worshiping Satan, practicing Satanism, a religion.
Well,
right? I'm pretty sure just Satanism.
And just because that is so widespread down there, some of the individual practices, like stealing people's dogs and cats for food, is much more widespread than even the Satanism is. Because now you've got neighbors down the road or the stream or whatever mud hut it is they live in down there. Somebody steals your dog and eats it. Well, now you're going to be much more likely to retaliate against them and steal one of their pets or whatever. If there are even really any pets, I'm guessing that most of those animals down there, they're just stray pack animals that just wander around in the towns and cities. And then these people run around picking off cats and dogs to eat. And guess who deserves a lot of credit for that?
Who?
The Clintons.
Really?
Yeah. That Clinton Foundation.
Well, did they bring people from Haiti over there too? Or?
They just basically created like a never-ending telethon of absolute BS with their bleeding hearts. They laundered multiple billions of dollars through that Clinton Library Foundation, whatever the hell it is. And I think the last number I saw when it was still going on, I mean, it was less than 1% of that money ever made it to doing anything in Haiti. It's so gross. And he's just at the time.
You're going back to just the whole Trump saying people are eating cats and dogs. Like, you see what I'm getting at? Where if you're not constantly doing your homework and going out there digging for these news reporters, TV clips of where Trump actually saying what he sees people going on there and saying, "Hey, this neighbor stole my dog. He ate it, killed it, whatever." If you're not actually going to see that, and you hear Trump go on national TV on a debate and drop that, you're going to think he's fucking nuts.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. So that would have been a good opportunity for someone to be there to pull up some evidence for him.
Yeah, I know. And
he doesn't look batshit crazy.
They had every opportunity to do that, and they know that it's true. But what did Bozo the Clown on the left? I don't even know what that idiot's name is, but boy, is he a hack. He said, no, I have a statement from the city manager. He says that's not happening. Okay. How many of the people suffering this interaction with this army of belligerent, violent migrants from Haiti just dropped into their town out of nowhere? Who did they call the city manager?
Yeah.
No, they don't. They call the police. Yeah. Why didn't Nutjob moderator? Why didn't he try to get a hold of an actual local police station where this is happening and find out how many reports people have made about their pets disappearing? And having these weird freaking people. I mean, I saw a clip of a woman. She's at the city council meeting and she's like, I have multiple non-English speaking men laying down mattresses in my front yard and then screaming at me. It's a little senior citizen, 90-pound woman. And they just hang her out to dry. They do nothing to help her. So now She basically has Haiti in her front lawn. Is that something that people should be tolerating?
Jesus Christ. I will say that both of the hosts seemed more biased towards Kamala than they did Trump. Him just bringing up the city manager in a way is fact-checking Trump, but I didn't hear him do anything like that when Kamala reported something. I didn't hear...
I have the statement from the city manager, and that's just not true. It's fucking, what a ghoul. Holy crap. Can you imagine making a living just bold-faced lying to everyone all the time? And that woman, I can't remember what her name is, but I mean, she's just spoke outright about how she was going to manipulate the whole thing against him.
The chick on the other chick, really?
Yeah, the female moderator. She's vehemently anti-Trump. She's been very outspoken about it. I don't know how you end up with these two idiots as the moderator of a presidential debate.
What was the main news station it was on again?
It was on ABC.
Okay, I watched it on YouTube. That's what I was asking. Okay, so is ABC owned by the Democrats?
The only one that isn't owned by a Democrat is Fox.
Okay,
because that's still under Murdoch's umbrella.
See, I feel like that for something like this, you got to put it on have it hosted on a neutral station.
Yeah,
just like the Super Bowl's playing.
You know what they would have? You know what they would have been better off doing? actually hold the event on C-SPAN and farm out the moderation to one of these guys on YouTube who just does debate moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Their only interest is in presenting themselves as a fair arbiter for debate content.
Yep.
They are not going to do anything like that to harm their image, because that's how they make their living. But those two idiots behind the desk, they make their living being liars.
Exactly. And that's why that would never happen. So gross.
If I had laser beam eyes, they wouldn't be long for this world.
Oh, I hope I'd still be here.
No, you'd be. I wouldn't. I would never. The only way I would ever unleash that on somebody, it would be reserved for people like them, the position holders who abuse everybody around them, and then tell us we're the ones that have to change.
All right, let's get into the next big one here. Where abortion is a big topic, and it might be the deciding factor on who wins, what one of the moderators said.
How could abortion even be an issue in this election?
The only way I could see that being the deciding factor is if the percentage of women the percentage of women who go on and vote is really low, and a lot of them are actually going to come out and vote just for Kamala because she wants to reinstate Roe v. Wade.
This was one of the best points in the whole debate, to point out how little brain power she actually has. Okay, it was bad law when the Supreme Court made it up out of whole cloth back in the early 70s. Now, Trump, he followed through on one of his promises as far as his court appointments. Because pro-life was part of the formula. So now a case finally got brought that actually gave the Supreme Court the ability to overturn that prior precedent, which was absolute just horse manure from day one. Now, if you want to reinstate that de facto unlegislated top-down dictate that came from the old Supreme Court, and you want to overcome the fact that that precedent has been thrown out, a law won't do it, because the idea that a federal law on abortion holds any water, it's gone. There's only one way to do it now, and that's why this was so important. The only way you can do it now at the federal level is to pass a constitutional amendment. She's ignoring that. If the people that were looking at this election thinking that abortion is just an everyday legislate it and get it signed kind of an item, it can't even be that. But she's lying about that. She's actually trying to make all of these dizzy women think that there's anything that she can do short of getting a constitutional amendment passed to enable all of the women of the country to be degenerate, irresponsible, sexually immoral ding-dongs who murder their babies. Now a bunch of states have put a lot of strict, that's
a pretty extreme way to put it right there.
That's the only way to put it.
No.
What else? How else would you put it? What is it for? Oh, to protect rape victims, which make up less than 0.2% of all of the abortion. 99+% of abortions in the United States are matters of convenience for sexually irresponsible women, and to the benefit of all of the piece of garbage men who interact with them and cause the pregnancies. I mean, that is one disgusting swath of the population, and anybody doing anything to make things easier for them to be pieces of garbage, I hope you die a slow, painful death.
People are just so candid with their sex lives nowadays.
Oh, and that's disgusting too.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's part of the reason, right? Why both men and women are so irresponsible when it comes to having sex and not using protection. And they feel like it's so easy and carefree when someone does get pregnant that they can just have an abortion and no one's going to give a shit.
The people that upheld the moral barriers in the past were completely demoralized, pushed out of the schools, pushed out of the government, pushed out of the courtrooms, and sequestered in their homes.
Well, look what happens if you're a virgin now. You get made fun, especially being a male.
That's
being a guy virgin. Like
that wheel is turning. These dating podcasts, they're getting, I mean, hundreds, millions of views for some of the episodes of these podcasts, and there's an entire pile of these outlets on YouTube and Rumble and wherever else. And I'm telling you, the guys that are, it's kind of become a cottage industry. You learn how to debate better than a 2-month-old hamster, and you can destroy any of these people. So now every one of these podcasts has this whole slate of guys who just argue from the Christian ethic, turn these people around in circles like they're trying to play pin the tail on the donkey. They have no responses for anything. They're being shown the own contradictions that they carry around in their head to justify their terrible behavior. And it's spreading. It's making an impact. Some of these girls are actually, they're actually admitting it on the show and like changing their outlook. Most of them don't. Yeah. But some of them do. And what's really important is to change the margins for the younger people coming up so that they don't end up at, 21 years old with 3 kids by 3 different pieces of garbage. You don't pay child support and you're living on the street or in your car or in your grandmother's basement. Whatever horse shit situation you end up in because you're an irresponsible ding dong who just wants what you want. I got to get it on. It's like, it really is. It's the single most disgusting. It is. All those shows way are to live. Really popular. It is. Those guys look extra smart because they don't pick the brightest bulbs in the room to go up against. There are very few people who behave that way, who possess any capacity to ever like confront somebody on an actual debate level because they don't know anything. The only thing that they know is what they want and, a number of methods to manipulate people to get what they want. They have no sense of morality. They can't, half of them can't even, you can do it in real time. You ask them simple hypothetical questions just to test them. How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? And you want to know what answer you get from the dum-dums who don't, it will never register. What's that? But I had breakfast this morning. Okay. But that's not what my question was about. That's how they respond to everything. It's like, okay, so imagine that we have 2 people in this situation. Okay, let's bring it back to Kamala and Trump. They can't handle it. Kamala and Trump here. Okay, what are some topics what are some bullet points you had on there? Because we got about 10, 15 minutes left here. Well, let's try to tackle it real quick because I got a bunch of bullet points here. First, the opening, right? Yep. I got one question. Would you take Trump or would you take Fauci, Cuomo, Newsom, and Walz as far as the economy goes? As in, who would I want running it? I mean, those are four of the main characters in the Democrat lock everything down, blame it on Trump for everything going bad brigade. They're just liars. So that was something that she mentioned at the beginning, right? She lied about the Project 2025. Oh, dude, Trump never signed on to that. The guy who wrote it. The guy who wrote it resigned from the Heritage Foundation. It has no juice. Nobody cares. Anybody with a brain knows what Trump's agenda is. And it doesn't have anything to do with those guys over at Heritage Foundation. Now, he appreciates Heritage Foundation because of all of the material that they generate for people to learn about different particular things within policy and culture and things. But their Project 2025 was never a point for him. He was never taking that on, never told anybody that that's what he was going to do. So she lied about that. And then she lied about the tax breaks. They always say the same freaking thing. Well, he just has tax breaks for the rich. Even when you write off a line item that applies to everyone. Well, that's only for the rich. Liar. I remember my parents telling me that when I was a kid, of just about Republicans in general. Yeah. That's been like the number one argument Democrats have been using as long as That's all they have is to falsely characterize people. They mischaracterize and lie about their opponents at every turn. And then their opponents turn around and just say, well, look at how stupid it is. all of these things that they've actually done, and now look at this docket of crap they want to do. These people are insane. No, you're a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. Where's the evidence? Don't have any. Just going to call you that. And then recruit all of our media dogs to say the same thing over and over and over again until every dum-dum out there who doesn't know anything about anything just knows that Trump's a racist, Trump's a sexist. They've never investigated anything. They've never read an article. They never watched the news. They've never read a book. And they get to vote. That's, oh God, democracy is just, it's such a great thing. People are so stupid. And then one of my favorite bits of her entire stupid onslaught of nonsense. Opportunity economy. What the hell does that mean? Nobody knows. It's like racial justice or environmental justice or economic justice or any other of your rainbow tutti frutti list of justices. Once you put a stupid word on the beginning of a word like justice, there's no justice involved. Because justice means what it means, and adding adjectives to it destroys the meaning. Economy is the same way. Economy is a set of phenomenon that express themselves through individuals exercising thrift and exchanging with each other. The government issuing a tax break or creating a welfare program or fighting a war, none of those things are economy. Those are deviations from economy. Because no individual says, you know what I want to do? I want to give away a big chunk of what I earn so that a bunch of globalists can fight a war in the Middle East. Nobody says that to themselves. You know what else they don't say? Oh, I want to pay more property taxes so the failing school down the street can pay teachers more to do half a job and do it poorly. You know what else they don't say? It could do 1,000 of those. Nobody would ever do that voluntarily. Any of it. So it's not economy. If it's not focused on exercising thrift and free association with other individuals, it's not economy. So just stop.
Then what is it?
It's force and control and dictation and ignoring your freedom and stomping on liberty and basically just basically flipping the whole table over and saying, nope, we're just in charge and whatever we say goes, no matter how insane it is. Doesn't matter if we kill your children or, make you homeless or burn your city down or whatever it is. You're a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe because we're the authorities. We don't have to present any evidence because all of our supporters are morons. It's a great, being a power player for the Democrats, it must be one of the I don't know how anybody actually does it. How do you live with yourself? But it has got to be one of the easiest lives to live. You'd never have to answer for anything.
I don't think Trump really answered any questions last night.
Trump answered every question. Point to one thing he didn't answer.
Dude, pick a random question on there.
Like what?
Anytime they said yes or no to the guy, he went on some 5-10 minute rant.
About what?
I don't have an exact question right now.
Like on any of the immigration stuff?
Yeah.
Was there a yes or no?
Pick any of them.
Was there a yes or no question concerning immigration that he didn't answer?
They had a lot of follow-up questions where it's like yes or no, fill in the blank to this. And he would just go off in some rant about anything.
I didn't pick up on any of those. I was making notes about the stuff that was said that I just knew to be either contradictory, a total lie, or
it's something I know.
Things that I completely disagree with.
I'm not just spewing shit. But I did notice Trump he was dodging a lot of questions too.
Okay.
But straightforward ones, I don't mind him giving an explanation to a long answer. But when it comes, you gotta trim the fat off when they get down. Yes or no to this. Just say it.
No, but politicians never answer yes or no questions with a yes or no. About the only time that ever happens is when Democrats are in a big primary and there's 8 or 9 of them up there, and you ask an absolutely asinine question like, should we raise taxes? Well, of course, everybody wants to. We all got to raise taxes. That's the only time you get yes or no answers from these people. When it's absolutely the last thing you would ever actually do voluntarily and they benefit from it. That's when they're all about it. It's like, oh, it's a corrupt crony capitalism frickin' thing that we can basically point at Republicans and say they're evil, and then we get a bunch of money. Oh, well, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
They're disgusting. I mean, God damn it. Oh, it just fucking riled me up so bad. We went over the tariff thing. And as far as the whole post-birth abortion thing, I had a note in here. I had a note in here about it.
When Trump said they're killing babies after
whether or not it has ever actually occurred, and there are numerous personal accounts of people who worked as nurses in Chicago when Obama was in Chicago. There were people talking about that kind of stuff all through that period of time. Regardless of whether or not it's actually happened, Democrats propose bills that contain it. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know if a bill like that has ever passed or if a doctor has ever wrapped a baby in a blanket and left it in a dark closet until it died. That's what they wanted to do. That Governor Northam in Virginia went on the radio and described the whole thing. He said the quiet part out loud. See, their whole bit with the abortion thing and the homosexuality thing, both, they're twin pillars. It's just for the exceptions, right? These two loving men were just being intimate, and then the police busted in and made them criminals. No, that's not what happened. No, you had a pair of criminal pieces of garbage who were doing each other, and it was still against the law. So the police, they did something about it. They were exercising a warrant for another crime and caught them doing that. That's what Brown versus Texas was all about. When that whole thing about, do we make gay marriage legal and do we get rid of the sodomy laws and all of that? That's what the jumping off point for the media was. Two criminal homosexuals getting caught by the police. Can you? I mean, oh my God. How crooked can you be? Right. And that's a part of the demoralization of the Christian ethic and pushing anybody who will actually have any morality out of any center of power and basically saying, well, no, you can't tell me religion. No, but OK, well, let's just discard the fact that what I'm saying originates with my religious faith. Let's just pretend I came to it as a godless secularist like you. Now argue. But none of the politicians will ever do that because they're not smart enough. It's absolutely amazing. The entire flip-flop regime. You got fracking, you got the gun buyback, mandatory, right?
Yeah, Kamala's a gun owner.
If you don't let the government come and take your gun and give you 10% of what it's worth, now you're a criminal, right? That kind of idea. These people are sick. How about the border? I mean, holy smokes. She wants to decriminalize entering the country illegally. She wants to decriminalize possession of fentanyl. I mean, how can you hold that position?
I'm a fan of decriminalizing all drugs, but the problem is, I think the only places that have it now, I think Seattle's one. I think a place in California, is California, a city in California too. One.
This entire thing.
So now they're all aggregating to those two areas over there.
Of course they are.
Because those are the ones that can
San Francisco, Seattle, Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia. Wait, my God.
Chicago's not decriminalized though, is it?
Oh, Chicago's just a shithole anyway. I mean, they have gangland wars every weekend.
I know, but I'm talking about decriminalized. It's just Seattle and I think one other.
Dude, have you seen...
Someone fact check me.
Dude, have you ever seen the Man on the Street segments on Kensington Street in Philadelphia?
No.
It used to be the main street of the town.
Oh, wait.
Now it's got wandering zombies, garbage everywhere, stores shut down, and just lazy, leg about random people just being pieces of garbage all over the place. And then anybody who actually tries to maintain their home, all they can do, they're just locked in their home, hoping that one of these crazy drug addicts or somebody stoned out of their mind or some gangster who just wants to shoot somebody doesn't just bust their door down and kill them. There are places like this all over the country now. It's like we have little third world enclaves in every major city where the Democrats have basically shipped people in, set up camp for them, created welfare programs, and then just steal. They just steal money and piss it away on making it worse.
And they're still
It's insane.
Yeah. And they're still not guaranteed that person will vote for him. That's the motivation, right? All right, Philly, we're coming into an end here. And just like the moderators asked Kamala and Trump, are your closing statements?
Okay. I want to do a little piece that I call the left.
Okay.
And this hit me last night after the debate ended. And I mean, for the most part, I was really disappointed because the moderators were garbage. Kamala didn't answer a question, and Trump wasn't Trump. Trump had the muzzle on last night. He didn't do his normal Trump stick, which is what all Trump supporters want to see. They want to see him. They want to see him get pissed off and march across the stage and punch her in the throat. That's what I want to see. Let's start small. Let's start with the left and theft. Now, if the state legally steals from you, they love that. We need more of that. It's all approved. Tax and inflate to infinity for whatever nonsense they want. Now, to the local, actually physical theft of goods. If it's under $950, they don't care. You can do that every day. You could probably do it in multiple stores every day. They don't care. They don't want the police to arrest you. They don't want you to go to jail. They want you to just continue being a criminal piece of garbage and claiming racism. Then the looting. So every time they manage to generate enough animosity in a population in a particular area, well, now it's just open season. Go and loot whatever store you want and maybe burn down a police station. Thank you, Tampon Tim, Tattletale Tim, Tip Line Timmy, you piece of garbage. And there are a number of other items we could do for that. But now let's move to rape. Or grape, as they say online now, because supposedly social media has created a new 1,000-word long list of things you can't say on the internet, right? So grape. In the big cities, for the most part, it's catch and release, just like at the border. So, you can just rape somebody if they actually catch you, which is already rare enough because the police are incompetent in most of these cities. If they catch you, they'll just, basically set a court date and you're back out on the street. Just go rape somebody again. How about the overwhelming increased rate of risk to children being abused in public schools? Democrats don't give a crap about pedophiles in public schools or any of the sexual abuse to children that's taking place there. They loved pimping the Catholic Church scandal, where the demon worshipers at the top of that structure shuffled priests around from parish to parish to hide them. Well, and then 30 years later, that all got completely blown up. But you know what's really sick is that we can see it on a daily basis. You can do general surveys of the population to find out what the rates are. And it's like your child is 40. It's like, I hope I don't get this wrong. It's something like 40 times more likely to be sexually abused at school than they are at home, at least in a nuclear 2-parent family. If it's a single mother, I mean, their boyfriend is, I don't know. You're something close to the same, more likely to be sexually abused by a single mom boyfriend or a stepdad or
like an uncle,
any of their associated family. Yeah, just absolutely disgusting. Okay. Now, how about the concept of it being underreported, right? So they just say, well, it's underreported. So what do they do in response? They overreport it to a degree that is so insane that it's not physically possible. What's the number they always spit out? 1 in 4, 1 in 3. Yeah. You go and you look at the number of annual rape prosecutions going on. Every rapist who's ever lived over the time period where they've created this absolute nonsense number would have had to have raped like 10,000 women. There's just no getting to the actual statistical number with the number of rapists if that's the actual result. 1 in 3 women. Come on. And then how about the false accusations by these dim-witted little girls on these college campuses? They go out and they participate in all the revelry and debauchery at these parties. They get into frat parties underage, drink themselves into a complete stupor, and then go and do something stupid in a frat guy's bedroom. And then the next morning it's a rape. They don't care about that. They don't care about the young men who are having their lives destroyed by these dizzy girls. who just they want everybody to see them as the victim when they're just dumbasses who put themselves in terrible situations and then gave it up. Because when they drink and they get into that mindset, their inhibitions are gone.
Yep.
They don't care.
Dude, I've often wondered if the only reason alcohol is legal is because it makes women dizzy like that and easier to take advantage of. Because there's no reason it should be.
Oh, no, there are reasons that there are prescriptions against, drinking too much, taking any of these ridiculous narcotics. Yeah, there are very good reasons for warning people against that, because it's like, well, holy cow, I'm 47 years old. Do you know what I've seen in the past? Lots of stories about young women drinking too much and ending up in sexually compromised positions, and then feeling bad about it the next day and turning the guy they did it with into a criminal.
Yep.
So how about you don't drink too much? How about if you're a 20-year-old on a college campus, you don't try to wiggle your way into an alcohol party at a frat house? I mean, any number of things. And that goes to the abortion thing, too. The young women, you're the gatekeepers. You make bad decisions that end up in abortion. That's your fault. Your body, your choice. Don't have sex before you're married. Don't get pregnant and have to have an abortion. Don't come to me and tell me that I have to be pragmatic about abortion because you're sexually irresponsible. That's absolute freaking garbage. I don't know how anybody makes those arguments. Then we got, right, we're still on the grape, right? How about the Epsteiner? How about Little St. James Island, right? You get the story of the century. Multiple compound buildings full of hidden cameras, recordings up the wazoo. They finally do something about it. The only reason they did anything was to collect all the evidence so nobody could ever see it. So they have no problem. They have no problem with a billionaire, agent provocateur, backroom dealing, world leader, communicator, note passing guy, probably a CIA plant, generating blackmail. I mean, it's just deny. Mm-hmm. Even though everybody knows. We all know what happened now, and yet they refuse to actually tell us.
You never hear about it either.
It's so stupid. And then the king of the hill, as far as this goes, the devil circle happy fun time kid abuse. Familiar with this?
No.
Well, it has a different label, but I don't want to actually say the labels so that the video just gets trashed, right?
Can you spell it out?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's spell it out. SATANIC space RITUAL space ABUSE.
You're going way too fast.
SATANIC.
Okay, I got it.
I
know what it is.
Yeah. That's very real. There are documented episodes of it. And now this is what confounds me about this particular topic every time. If you make an appeal, and then they do this constantly, they make these appeals to the ultimate good, right? Like they know what it is, so they can solve all our problems by basically stealing from you and inflating to infinity, right? They're going to solve all our problems by debauching the money and lying to everybody, right? Well, if there is an ultimate good that can do that, that only really exists like philosophically in contrast to the ultimate evil, right? So if the two things, they both have to exist if you want to be intellectually honest, then why would you deny that this is something that can happen? But they do. They just deny. They don't care. What they do is anybody who actually investigates an enclave of this kind of shit happening in their little town or in their school district in a big city, doesn't matter. The ping pong pizza in DC, then they called it Pizzagate. You can go on social media and find all sorts of material all over the place. You got the dark web servers. The material is everywhere. There are sick people like this. We've probably both known somebody personally who's involved in stuff like this. This is how pervasive it is. And what do? They call anybody who brings some evidence to the fore a conspiracy theorist. So now you know the real value of creating a fake phrase like conspiracy theory. It's to
dismiss the truth.
It's to ostracize the truth from the conversation. Now let's move on to the number one top of the pyramid lefty favorite, and that would be the unaliving that starts with M and rhymes with girder. One of the top first one here. So if the police have an interaction with somebody where if they're part of the right group and it can be characterized the way they want to politically, it becomes murder immediately, even though it's just a cop doing their job, dealing with a difficult criminal who fails to follow orders or decides to pull out a gun and point it at them. Shit. They mischaracterize and they call racism always the race card, right? They might as well just stamp race card on their forehead the way these people operate. Then let's move on to the next one. There's a recent one, a Honduran illegal immigrant who had been kicked out of the country multiple times, just killed an 11-year-old kid on his way home from school. What do the Democrats have to say about that? Pass. That's not an issue we're concerned with. Then let's go back to Obama's paradise, right? Gangster's paradise in Chicago. It's a weekend by weekend occurrence now where there's 100 shootings and over 10 people dying. It's like every week now. Do they care? No, pass. Don't care. Then let's go to the little town in Pennsylvania where Trump got shot at. So now we're dealing with actual assassination attempts. What's their response and their cohort in social media? Somebody please try again. They're encouraging it. They want more of that. They want absolute freaking chaos. They want people running for leadership positions to be taken out by their angry mob. They're actually encouraging it. And then just the general state of these lawless places like Venezuela and all of the Central American countries, the triangle south of Mexico, that Kamala was put in the charge of the core issues, meaningless nonsense. All of that. Do they have any interest in helping the leadership of any of these countries actually establish a better structure of law and order? No, what do they want to do? They want to dip the ladle into every single one of these countries and just take whatever refuse the political leadership of that country decides to dump on us. Just bring it here and dump it right in your backyard. Look at this list. There isn't a single item on this list where these people are good on anything. They are contrary to the free independent individual in this country. They're completely opposed to that concept. And then I came up with one last thing just to kind of encapsulate it. I call it tickets, taters, and toast. These people, their dream scenario is all of you in a line. And in order to be in the line, you have to obtain a state issued ticket that allows you to actually interact when you get to the head of the line. If you don't have a ticket, you're done, right? You disappear, just like the Loki intro. The guy doesn't take a ticket and he gets up to the front of the line and he just vaporizes. He's just gone. And that's what they like. You have to comply with the state, and if you don't, you're vaporized. What happens once you get to the head of the line? Well, they hand you your potato or your slice of bread, and that's all you get. Tickets, taters, toast. It's the triple T.
That'll be the name of this episode.
And then the best part would be how they arrange the order in the line. You don't even want to know what I wrote down about who would be first in line, but I'm sure you can take a guess. It's not going to be a guy that looks like me. You know where I'm going to be?
In the back.
Well, I'll be in a different line. And if anybody, we all love to make allusions to 1940s Eastern Europe and Small Mustache Man. I'm more likely than not to be standing in a line in front of a ditch. And then there's another line behind me of riflemen. That's the image you should take if you're considering voting for Kamala, because that's essentially what it is. They might not actually physically line you up and shoot you, but if you're not part of their program, it's just going to be more legal theft, higher prices, more work, less value that you actually get to accumulate and enjoy in your life. and watching a lot of political hocus pocus for the benefit of lazy, degenerate, evil people.
And there it is. Let us know in the comments, everyone, what you thought of the debate. Did you think Trump win? Did you think Kamala win? Did you think Philly won?
I always win.
Should we just have Philly run for president? I think we talked about that last time, actually.
And you know what? I've had the thought in my head. It's one of those like, if you win the lottery, what would you do? You know, it's one of those kind of. It's fun to entertain, and if somehow one of these videos went to 100 million views in the United States, and I didn't mention the possibility of writing in my name. Write me in.
There it is.
Write me in, everybody.
The Doug Life chose me.
Philly out.